the reality is he might not ever fight again. Like, who knows? Like, if he has surgery on his eye and it doesn't go well and he can't see out of the eye, up in his right eye. There's some tendon damage or something. And, you know, eyes are so tricky. You never know. Like, unless you're a fucking complete psychopath like Michael Bisping, who fought 11 fights in the UFC blind in one eye.
Joe Rogan believes the UFC is heading toward a serious problem. And if nothing changes, it won't just be individual fighters losing time, it will be the sport itself beginning to show real cracks. Because according to Rogan, this isn't the kind of issue that explodes overnight and forces immediate reform. It's quieter than that. It stacks damage slowly. It removes contenders without headlines. It freezes divisions without controversy. And by the time everyone realizes how deep the problem runs, the losses are already done. That's why this conversation matters. Now, recent situations involving Paddy Pimblett and Tom Aspinall have pushed the issue back into sharp focus. Two high-profile fighters in completely different divisions dealing with eye injuries that could sideline them for months, and possibly longer. Not because they were finished in spectacular fashion, but because of damage that quietly changed everything.
Really bad, how it looks.
Joe Rogan has been warning about for years. Built into modern MMA, fighters are trained to manage distance using extended hands, open fingers, and constant framing.
Just spoke to Pat Barry, who's in the hospital right now. You know, yesterday we spoke about Rose Namajunas talking to the fans in a very emotional state. It was heartbreaking to see. Remember that video? She's like openly sobbing. And shout out to the fans who were there to console her, to make her feel better. It was part heartbreaking and part beautiful to watch in a way. Anyway, right now as we speak, Rose is undergoing eye surgery, believe it or not. She was poked multiple times in the eye. They actually just sent me a photo of one of said pokes. Here's one photo that we have. There you go. And yeah, I mean, again, this is the thing with these. Like, you sit at home and you're like, okay, suck it up. You know, Tom Aspinall, suck it up. Well, guess what? Here's a photo of Rose heading into surgery as we speak. You can see her eye, and you're about to see more. And he tells me that she has, I'm going to try to get this right, a canalicular laceration, which is a break in the tear drainage.
It's effective, it's legal, and it's taught at every level of the sport. But as athletes get faster, sharper, and more aggressive, the margin for error shrinks dramatically. When exchanges accelerate, eye contact becomes almost unavoidable. And when it happens, the system rarely responds with urgency. The referee gives a warning. The fight goes on. The crowd moves forward.
The following, right, is that it works. So the best thing you can do is like keep your head in the game, and I'll do everything I can to manage.
All that training for that. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be okay, mate. What the f*** are you doing?
The left one was really deep. The left one was really deep. Yeah, sorry,
you got warm for it.
Yeah,
twice before he got warm for it.
Mike Bisping, he lost his eye. It's just a horrendous thing to think as a parent, really. And I know what it's like these days, and people saying what they want, but if it's just your son, and they could lose an eye, and their health, and they've got children to look after, you know, something needs doing about it. Yeah, surrender.
But the damage often doesn't fully surface until weeks or even months later, when fighters are forced into long recoveries and divisions quietly stall. In Tom Aspinall's case, the injury was severe enough that the fight could not continue, instantly freezing the heavyweight picture and creating uncertainty at the very top of the division. In Paddy Pimblett's case, the fight went on, but the consequences are now emerging, with his momentum potentially paused at a critical point in his career. Different situations, same underlying problem. Joe Rogan has never framed this as an issue of fighter blame. His criticism has always targeted the rules and the equipment. He has repeatedly pointed to glove design as a major factor, arguing that gloves which naturally curl the fingers downward could dramatically reduce accidental eye contact without altering the sport itself.
And tell me what you think about this. The UFC gloves, the way they are right now, why don't they cover the fingers? Why don't you have a glove where you have the padding on the knuckle, but that you just have a layer of leather that goes over the fingers and goes behind the hand like this?
Almost like Pride gloves a little bit, but over the fingers.
But covering the fingertips. The problem is the fingertips going into the eyes. Like every time you see a poke, it's like one finger going into the eyeball. But if you have it covered up, it would be different. Like, it wouldn't be one poke going straight through. It'd be a layer of leather.
But I'll tell you this, I've been fighting for 25 years. I've never poked anybody in the eye, not even in training.
Eye pokes are probably the worst. I think when a guy gets eye poked, I think it should be a 1-point deduction no matter what. Because you can't see. I would say that's probably the worst out of all these things. You can speak to this.
Yeah,
poked in the eye.
I know. I've been poked in the eye, but I've poked a few dudes in the eye. I'm trying to stay out of this. I'm sitting here trying to figure out how I approach this. I mean, you're going to come to me. I was hoping you would look at Annie. So you decided to ask me.
Other combat sports have adapted their equipment as athletes evolved. MMA largely has not. And that's where frustration begins to turn into something more serious. When Dana White was asked about the issue, his response came across to many fans as abrupt and dismissive, showing little urgency and no clear signal that meaningful changes were under consideration. To a growing segment of the MMA audience, it felt like fighter safety was being treated as a secondary concern rather than a core responsibility. That perception is dangerous, because when fighters lose months or even years to eye injuries, the impact goes far beyond physical recovery. Careers lose momentum. Rankings stall, title pictures unravel, and fans slowly begin to lose trust in how the sport is being run. There is also a deeper conversation happening beneath the surface. Some fans believe extended hands are sometimes used deliberately to gain an edge, knowing enforcement is inconsistent and serious punishment is unlikely to affect the outcome of a fight.
Any updates about the eye of Tom Aspinall, and is there a rematch in the works?
Oh, Jesus, don't let me talk about Tom Aspinall's eye. Apparently he's going in for a second surgery or just had it, and by surgery I mean injections. I have no idea. Get a quote from him. God fucking forbid I say.
Any updates about the eye of Tom Aspinall, and is there a rematch in the works?
Oh, Jesus, don't let me talk about Tom Aspinall's eye. Apparently he's going in for a second surgery or just had it, and by surgery I mean injections. I have no idea. Get a quote from him. God forbid I say something about it. Go ahead.
Jeez.
How close did you think you were to
Here's your quote. Catching strays, aren't I? Catching strays in my own living room on a Sunday morning.
Christine, if Tom came out and said, no, I'm not going to rematch him, he's a cheater. Why would I rematch a guy that already cheated, that violated not one of my eyes but both? I gave him his chance, he chose to cheat, and I'm going to move on. If Tom took that stance, which he's not going to do, I'm saying, but for fun, I think he'd have a lot of people that supported him. For some reason, Surreal has come out of this thing with his hands clean. He's
got to do something about these eye pokes. The rule is you got to have your hands like this, but you can still have your fingers out straight. You can't do that, you can do that. That's the stupidest rule I've ever seen in my life. Make a fist. Simple as that. You're throwing punches, and yeah, you're going to parry shots, but you just got to unbend your fingers. It's really not that hard. This is a stupid...
What happened? Could he see? Couldn't he see? Could he continue? I can't make people fight if they feel they've been injured. After the Jones fight, a lot of people wrote Cyril gone off. He looked damn good tonight. I mean, he had Tom bloodied up, and Tom didn't want to continue in the fight. The rematch is very interesting.
Not because the sport promotes cheating, but because the system quietly rewards risk without offering real consequences. Whether that perception is fair or not, the fact that it exists at all is a serious warning sign. Joe Rogan's message has been consistent. The athletes have evolved. The speed has increased. The margins are thinner than ever. And if the rules and equipment fail to evolve with them, the sport will continue to lose talent in ways that never appear on highlight reels. That is the real danger. Not one bad fight or one controversial moment, but a slow erosion where fighters lose irreplaceable time, divisions lose credibility, and the UFC is left reacting instead of leading. If nothing changes, this problem doesn't fade, it multiplies. And when the consequences finally arrive, the question won't be whether eye pokes are part of MMA. It will be why the UFC ignored a fixable issue for so long that it allowed the cracks to spread.